Hi everybody, and welcome back to Time to Go. Bob here. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. So today we are looking at not one, but 4 watches from Straton Watch Company. These are from their new line, the Legera. And like the last chronographs we had in from Straton, these ones have that fun, kind of a 70s vibe. These currently are available on Kickstarter, so I'm going to leave a link to their Kickstarter campaign, which is already a success, by the way, as well as their own site in the description below, so make sure to go check it out. So let's get into the watches. All right, so it's not often I get so many watches in at the same time from a company, but the reason being is there's 4 watches in the line, each with a number of color options. So in the back here, we have the Legera Standard, and up front is the Bullhead. Each of these versions comes in an automatic with a Valjoux movement, which are these 2 on the left, or a Mecha Quartz movement, which are the 2 on the right. So to keep it simple, I'm not going to go into detail on all 4 watches. I think I'm going to focus on an automatic from the Bullhead, and then we'll talk about a Mecha Quartz in the Standard. Now, across the board, all models have screw-down crowns and a water resist of 100 meters, which is really nice to see on a chronograph. These, by the way, are prototypes, so these will be more refined when it comes to fit and finish in the final product. My favorite design of the 2 is definitely the Bullhead. That's mostly just due to the fact that you don't often see them, especially in a modern watch. Both the quartz and the auto that I have here have the same measurements except one, and I'm sure you'll guess which one that is, but let's start with the case width, which comes in at 42 millimeters. I'm getting 47 millimeters from lug to lug. The lug opening is 22 millimeters, and we have a thickness here that's going to be that different measurement. This is a very chunky 16 millimeters thick versus the quartz, which is a little bit more slender, coming in at 13 millimeters. So you can see that there's quite a difference there. These have a very strong wrist presence, so for me, I don't mind the bold thickness of the automatic at all. I'll walk you guys through what's happening here with the dial on the automatic. So up top, we have the Straton logo applied in steel, as are the hour markers. The subdials have that raised frame that keeps with that 70s styling. Same goes for the spearhead style subdial hands. We'll fire up the chronograph here. As far as subdials go, at the 6 o'clock is the running seconds, at 9 is the minutes counter, and at 3 is the hour counter up to 12 hours. All of this encircled by that orange minute track makes it really pop. I'll just stop. We'll reset the chronograph. Now, when it comes to lume, they are using BGW9 Super Luminova. It's actually pretty decent considering this is a prototype. I love that they loomed the subdial hands, and always love a loomed bezel. The bezel is using a 12-hour insert for that second time zone. It's a sapphire insert, nice and easy to grip and turn. Now, the owner did specifically mention the bezel action is going to be improved. At the moment, it's a unidirectional bezel, so I'm not sure if they're going to make it bidirectional, which would be nice, but either way, they plan to tighten up the tolerances with it. The black models, like this particular one, are DLC coated. The finish is supposed to be improved on the final models, although I really don't see any major issues with this one at all. The case back, if we flip it over, is a screw down case back. It's engraved with the pattern there with the Straton logo in the center. So let's get in a quick look of the bullheads on wrist, then move over to the Standard. And here is the automatic, and as you can see, it's got some chunk to it, that's for sure. I really dig it though. Just such a cool vintage sporty look. Pricing on these, by the way, are starting in the 330s US for the quartz and 870s for the autos currently on Kickstarter. Depending on your pledge, there's also a bracelet upgrade for right around $40, which I would probably opt for too. So let's take a look at the quartz. And here it is, and check out the colors on this one. I think it looks so cool. Not nearly the height of the automatic. When it comes to watches, I almost always prefer automatic, but these Seiko Mecha Quartz movements are excellent. You get that automatic feel with a really reliable movement. So let's move on to the Legera Standard. The Standard, like the name would suggest, is a chronograph in the more typical setup with the crown and pushers being on the side of the case. Unlike the bullheads, both of the measurements on the automatic, which is here on the left, and the quartz on the right are identical. We have a case width of 44 millimeters, 50 millimeters lug to lug. The lug opening is 22 millimeters, and the thickness comes in at 16 millimeters. Some of that is due to the domed crystal. All of the watches here, by the way, have a double domed sapphire crystal. The dial on the quartz model here is a really beautiful brown with that sunburst finish. Quite similar when it comes to the layout of the bullhead we were just looking at, with one difference, and that being the subdials. They have a 24-hour subdial in place of the hour counter at the 3, running seconds at 6, and the minute counter at the 9 o'clock. Otherwise, very much the same when it comes to the dial layout. The case has that vintage style. If you look at it straight on, it's actually really similar to a watch that I have in my collection, and that is the Seiko Pogue. Look at the cases, the case shape, just the way that the lugs sort of drop off there at the end. Very similar. Very different when it comes to the side profile, though. You can see that the Pogue has more of a curved side profile versus the Straton, which has a much more of an angular side profile, although they do soften that up a little bit with that polished beveled edge. The crowns are the same on all models, deeply knurled and signed with the Straton S. Again, the same pattern case back goes across all models as well. So let's pop it on wrist here. Alright, so here it is, and it's definitely a bigger watch, although for some reason it doesn't feel like a 16 millimeter thick watch on wrist. I think it wears pretty good on my 7¼ inch wrist, and I just love the fun color options. I gravitated right away to the bullheads more so than the standards, but this is really cool too. Let's give the automatic a quick try here. And here it is, and of all of the dial options, this is probably my favorite. I really like the combination of the blue, black, and orange. There's a really bright, vivid blue dialed one that I quite liked too that we don't have here today. But these, by the way, are headed out to Scott from Watches Galore, then on to California to the guys Aaron and Chris. Make sure to check out their videos as they come out. Links to all their channels will be in the description below. So that is it for today, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at any time in the comments, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.